Inside of Visual Studio, let's go to File, New Project, and create an ASP.NET Web application. I will call this one Identity. I want this to be an ASP.NET MVC application, and I want authentication to be individual user accounts. That will store usernames and passwords, hashed passwords in a local SQL Server database. And as I create this project, Visual Studio will add NuGet packages with the new ASP.NET identity providers. We'll see those later in this module. For right now, I just want to run the application. And when I first come to this application, I'll be an anonymous user. It won't know who I am. I also won't have an account that I can log into yet, so I will need to register on this site. I'll create a username of sallen. I'll give myself a password, click register. And now what should happen is the application will recognize who I am. It will be able to display my name here, hello sallen. I can click on that, it's a link, and I come to a page where I can change my password. I can also log off, shut down, reboot, come back a week later, and I should be able to log in with the credentials that I used earlier. So a lot of work behind the scenes to get to this point, but everything's been included for us by that MVC project template. What we want to do is examine each of those features. I want to see how this UI is built, what is managing the log off and the login process, where's this information stored in the database. But before I even do that, let's just start with a couple simple basics. First of all, how is this username displayed? How do I know the name of the user when I'm inside of the MVC application? Well, this part of the user interface is controlled by the layout view. So it might make sense to first come in to the shared folder where the layout view resides. And here we'll see the basic template for the application that all the other views plug into. So there's the common navigation bar and the application name and the menu. And here is a partial view that's being rendered called _login partial. That's actually the view that displays the username or the register and login link. So login partial, also in the shared folder. I'm not a big fan of this view because I'm not a big fan of if-else statements inside of a view. I think it would be better to render this with html.action and let a controller decide to render an authenticated view or an anonymous user view. But essentially the if-else here is seeing if the request is authenticated. If we do not know who the user is because the request is not authenticated, this view will display register and login links that a user can click and go to the proper place to log in or register. And that's with the account controller that we'll be looking at later. For right now, we want to see just how to get the username. And that's inside of request.isAuthenticated. You can see a call to user.identity.getUsername. That will retrieve the username, which in this case is sallen. And that's also something that you can use in a controller. So if I come into the home controller, let's just set a breakpoint on the index action, run this with the debugger. And when I hit that breakpoint, I can open up the immediate window, which is under Debug, Windows, Immediate. Inside of here, I can type little C# expressions to see what's inside of variables. But if I go to user.identity, and now I can just go directly to the name, I also get sallen there. So inside of a controller, inside of a view, that user property, which is available on both, will allow you to get to the user's identity, see what their name is. You can also do role checks, like see if the user is in the admin role. Currently, we don't have an admin role, so this returns false, but we'll look at that one later too. But this is the high-level overview of how to get started managing user identities, how to display a user's identity. And now the question might be, how do I restrict access to only authenticated users? Let's take a look at that next.